Welcome to the Queen of Hearts podcast. And here's the queen herself, registered dietitian Heather Klug.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Queen of Hearts podcast. I'm Heather Klug, registered dietitian with the Karen Yantz Cardiac Awareness Center. And with me today is Bethany DeBrew Adams, our health communications coordinator. Hello, Bethany.
Hello, Heather.
All right, Bethany. So today we are digging into the hobby of gardening.
Yay!
Why, you ask? Because a task that once seemed like an awful chore to some of us when we were kids, that was me.
Me too.
Is actually a fun hobby as adults. And it has loads of benefits for your heart. So let's get to dishing the dirt about getting your hands dirty in the garden. Bethany, I know you like to garden, but has it always been that way?
No. No. When I was a kid, I absolutely hated when my dad made me work in the yard or in the garden. And it seemed to be a lot. Like, for some reason, that must have been something that in parenting school or whatever, they were like, oh, little kids love to help in the yard and help in the garden. Because usually I had to pull weeds.
Oh.
And I absolutely just hated that.
Does any kid want to pull weeds? Probably
Right.
not. I don't think the adults wanted to pull the weeds.
No.
So like, let's make the kids do it.
I was going to say, that's why they had kids,
Yes.
so the kids can pull the weeds. But when I was really little, like I want to say from when I was about 4 to about 8 or 9, we actually had a vegetable garden too.
Yeah.
I think that was also supposedly an educational experience for us. Mm-hmm. So one of my jobs would be to go out to the garden to pick, either peas or beans or tomatoes or something and bring them into the house. And that I liked.
Yeah.
Because I just remember like picking peas and then eating the peas right out of the pod, or like eating the tomatoes right off the vine.
Yeah.
Which I realized, you're supposed to wash it and everything, but I was a kid, and so dirt
Right.
didn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
So
we totally just ate stuff right out of the garden back then.
we used to drink from the garden hose
Yeah,
too,
that's
so
true.
nobody does that anymore.
Yeah.
But what about you? You said you didn't really like it when you were little.
Well, no, because it was mostly pulling weeds, kind of like you.
It's all the hard labor that they make the kids do.
Yeah. We didn't grow vegetables, though. I had some neighbors down the block that did that, and I always liked, going out there and picking the vegetables. I thought that was kind of cool. And like you, we'd eat them straight out of the ground.
Yeah.
We didn't worry about the dirt and all that kind of stuff. Although it's probably good for your microbiome, so it's good we weren't always cleaning off
Probably
the
why
dirt.
we're so robust with our immunity.
There we
right?
go. We're very robust, yes. But yeah, other than that, I didn't like it. I mostly just didn't like all the bugs that were in the dirt. I remember complaining about that all the time.
Ew.
Ew, there's all these bugs. Except for I like the worms. Fascinated by worms.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Most kids I know, they go through a worm phase anyway, where
Yeah.
they're like kind of obsessed with them.
Yeah. But anyway, that's my history with it. So I didn't really like it then. I do a little bit more now. We can get into that in a little bit. But what about for you now? You actually like gardening, it seems. So what changed?
I do. Well, I think it was the big thing that I always said would never change. And that was, we bought a house, and everybody was like, it'll be different when it's your own house. And I was like, no, it won't. Well, yeah, guess what? It was.
Yeah.
We bought a house that has the people who lived there before us really must have liked to garden. And,
Okay.
it has a beautiful yard. And so we inherited a lot of nice perennial plants and stuff like that. So the first 2 summers was kind of like, let's see what grows so we know what we have that comes back every year.
Yeah.
And then in 2020, we were home because it was quarantine, and my husband and I were like, hey, we want to make a nice yard because we like to spend a lot of time outside and whatever. And so he built a lot of extra like little flower beds and flower pots and stuff like that. And we just planted a bunch of seeds and stuck them all over the place and stuff. So, and that was a good experiment. Things actually grew. I was stunned. So this year I've moved into like a little more planning of, I want this here and I want that there. And I'm doing a little more container gardening.
Okay.
Actually putting colors together and flowers together and all of that stuff. But now I've found that my stress relief comes from weeding. all that weeding I did as a kid and hated, now
Yeah.
I'm like obsessed. If I've had a bad day, I will go out in the yard and weed or deadhead.
Okay.
You know, those are the two things where you feel just a sense of like accomplishment.
Yeah,
Like
there you go.
things look like I'm making a difference. I'm
Yeah.
improving things. When the
Right.
world is out of kilter, I can weed my garden.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel better.
Well, so it's a way of nurturing too.
It is.
It's taking care of some things. So
It
I
is.
can see that as well.
But for me, I can't grow a plant in the house. Like growing something inside is like impossible for me to do. So being able to grow plants and flowers outside is the most exciting thing in the world because I somehow
It's
feel
a little bit of success.
holy
huh?
cow, I can accomplish something. So now you mentioned you kind of like to garden. So
Yeah, kind of. I still don't love it because
Yeah.
I'd rather I like being outside too, but I'd rather play in my yard, like
Well,
yard
yeah.
games, or I'd rather just go for a walk somewhere or something. But I do find, sort of like you, now that I have my own house, it is different. I
Yeah.
don't know why that is. It's like
You
it's
want it to look
mine, I guess.
nice.
I spent the money on it. I like the curb appeal.
Yeah.
I like our yard to look nice.
you
I
have a nice
guess.
yard. You have a big yard.
Yeah. And I have found that even though, I mean, I wouldn't call myself a master gardener or anything, I do okay. But I find that it's almost like, the weeding and stuff, because we have a lot of daylilies and I got to, weed out the dead ones
yeah.
on the bottom and stuff. And I find it's a good amount of like me time, because it's usually just me out there.
Oh, nobody wants to help.
Because the kids don't want to come out and help. I suppose I could make them do that. That would probably be good for them. But I find for me, it's sort of like for you, it is that little bit of stress relief. And I find, my mind can just wander. I just end up thinking about things, or I process stuff. It's almost like I'm having a conversation in my head. Like if I were to talk about something with people,
Right.
and I'd be like, I wonder what they would say about that. And then I'm having probably sounds like I'm a little crazy.
You could
but
talk to your plants, and that would probably help them to grow even more.
yeah,
too.
maybe I should talk to them. It's a good form of stress relief. So
I agree.
I sort of like it now.
I agree.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting that so many studies have shown that gardening can be great for your health in so
Yeah.
many ways. There was a study in the British Journal of Sports Medicine that found that people who engage in activities like gardening for less than 1 hour a week reduce their risk of death from heart disease by 12%.
Which is not an insignificant number.
Not too shabby, yeah. Even better, those who engaged in those activities for 2 hours a week or more reduce their risk of death from heart disease by 37%.
That's more than double.
Now, that's a significant number.
Yes.
In fact, gardening was found to have as many health benefits as regular, more intense exercise. And that's just the start of the health benefits of gardening.
Definitely it is. For example, a 2017 review of over 20 studies found that regular gardening reduces tension, like we talked about, as well as anger, which is helpful, fatigue, and anxiety. And in one small study, researchers compared outdoor gardening to reading indoors as a means of stress relief. Kind of an odd comparison, but after 30 minutes, both groups reported better moods, but cortisol tests showed that stress levels had dropped much more for the gardeners, and their happier moods actually lasted longer than those of the readers. And now you know that I'm a big reader too, so this was particularly interesting to me. And I thought about it, I don't know if I read for stress relief though.
Yeah.
I think I might read when I'm stressed, but I think I also do feel less stressed after gardening than I would after sitting down and reading a book.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. If you're gardening outside, you're getting the added benefits of fresh air and sunshine. Plus, you're doing something physically active.
Right.
And while gardening works your major muscle groups, it also has been shown to increase hand strength in older people as well, something folks may lose as they age. This can help boost independence and self-esteem as well.
And that is very nice because it segues really well into what I was going to say. The fact is that studies have shown that gardening improves feelings of satisfaction with life. Gardening boosts positive emotions, and it reduces feelings of depression and loneliness in those who garden versus those who don't. So one of the ways this can happen is that gardening, it nourishes your senses, which sounds a little woo-woo, you.
Yeah.
But the colors, the smells, the textures, sticking your hands in that dirt, all of these things can help you feel more positive and more grounded. I know. You're looking at me like I'm insane.
No, that makes sense to me.
You know how they found that out? I'll give you a fun little fact. NASA decided that they wanted to help the astronauts on the space station kind of get through these dark periods of time that they're up there. You know, there's not always a lot to do in space. So they had them conduct growing experiments. They were growing sunflowers and, you know, some vegetables and some other things. And the astronauts reported feeling excited to see their plants grow. And it gave them something bright to look forward to seeing each day, because I'm sure nothing is brightly painted on the International Space Station. I'm guessing. I don't know for sure. But, you know, these things, they lift your spirits and you feel a little more positive.
Yeah, well, that's really cool. All right. And lastly, my favorite health benefit of gardening, it encourages people to eat more fruits, vegetables, and fresh herbs.
Which is what you're always encouraging people to do.
There's just a sense of satisfaction of eating something that you grew from a little seed in your own garden. And people are more likely to try something new that they grew themselves, which can lead you to a whole other variety of, you know, different vegetables that you may never have thought of before.
Right. Now, I want to talk a little bit about how good of a workout gardening is, because we mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I don't think most people tend to think of it that way. You know, we think of yard work, which is kind of like separate from gardening, raking leaves, mowing your lawn, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We think of that as good exercise, rightfully so, because if you've raked your yard before, you know it's a workout.
Yeah.
But even the smaller things you do to grow and maintain even the smallest of gardens counts. So in a simple 30-minute gardening session, the calorie expenditures for your average 155-pound person stand up to comparable time spent on other activities. So I want to give you a few examples, and these might surprise you a little bit.
All right.
So planting seedlings or raking your lawn burns 149 calories in 30 minutes, and that's the same as a 30-minute session of water aerobics or hatha yoga.
Oh.
Weeding, the almighty weeding, burns 172 calories in 30 minutes, which is more than you'd burn doing a half hour of calisthenics.
Okay.
Digging and spading garden soil burns 186 calories in 30 minutes. And that's about the same as playing softball. Plus, you're getting a combination of weightlifting and aerobic exercise, too. So that one's, you get a double whammy.
Right.
And we talked about mowing your lawn. So if you do it with a push mower, not a riding mower, but a push mower, it's going to torch 205 calories in 30 minutes. And that's equal to a low impact aerobics class, and you can share this with your husband, or a round of golf while carrying your own clubs.
Sure. I'll see if that convinces him to get rid of the riding lawnmower. Honey, it's just like doing a round of golf.
It's like golf. In fact, you can actually burn about 133 calories doing an hour of light gardening, and that's more than walking at a moderate pace.
Oh, okay. Well, that's even more calories burned than I thought it would be.
Right?
That's pretty nice. I want to talk a little bit more about some of the healthy foods people can plant.
Yes.
Now, everyone's space is different, so I know that not everyone can plant everything, but even if you have a smaller outside space, like a balcony or a small patio, there are many plants you can grow in pots and enjoy as well.
Pots or raised beds or even growing tables can be great places to squeeze in some healthy foods, and they're all different sizes and shapes, so you can find them to fit even the tightest spaces, I think.
Right, and those raised beds and growing tables are super popular right now.
Yeah, you might not be able to find one right now, but
there are a lot of different vegetables and fruits you can choose from, but there are 5 that are not only super healthy for your heart, but they are also popular to grow around here, at least in Wisconsin. And so they are pretty easy to find as well. Okay, we'll start with the first one, which is tomatoes.
Yes. Everybody grows tomatoes.
Yes, they're pretty easy to grow for the most part.
Yes, and you get a lot.
You do get a lot. Don't do what our family did. Our kids were little and we bought way too many tomatoes. We're like, we'll get some of these and some of these and some of these. We had like 4 or 5 different kinds. And we're like, oh, we'll get like 3 plants of each. Won't that be fun? Because we didn't know. And then we're like, once they came in, it was so many tomatoes. But anyway, tomatoes contain lycopene, which is an antioxidant that can help lower both LDL cholesterol and blood pressure.
Awesome.
And fun fact for everybody, tomatoes, if you cut it open, you'll notice there are 4 chambers, just like there are 4 chambers for your heart.
Oh.
So sometimes the foods we eat look exactly like the organs they're supposed to help.
Look at that.
I find that kind of cool. So they're super healthy for your heart.
Very poetic.
Yes. All right, next one is broccoli, spinach, and other leafy greens. These veggies give you a solid dose of vitamin K, which helps protect your arteries. They are also high in dietary nitrates, which have been shown to lower blood pressure and decrease stiffness in arteries. In fact, they release a substance called nitric oxide, and that's what allows your blood vessels to open up and dilate. Okay, so kind of cool. All right, the third vegetable is rhubarb.
My mom loves rhubarb.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Well, it's good. You tell your mom it's full of fiber, which can help lower cholesterol levels. It also contains some of the same antioxidants that are found in kale and red wine.
So everybody put down that glass of red wine and pick up the rhubarb instead.
Sure. Not sure that's going to happen with everybody. But one thing everybody should know, if you do grow rhubarb, the tops of them, like the, what would you call that?
The
like
leaves?
The leaves. They're poisonous.
Keep your pets away.
Yeah, so be careful with that one and don't eat those. Okay,
No.
Eat the actual rhubarb part. All right, fourth one is zucchini. This vegetable is packed with vitamins A and C, potassium, fiber, and folate, all of which help reduce blood pressure and cholesterol. And they're Bethany's favorite vegetable. And she's making faces at me. I like zucchini. It's not my favorite, but I like it.
Lots of people like zucchini.
Yes.
I just don't.
All right, the last one is my favorite, and that is carrots. I love carrots.
Me too.
Oh, the purple dragon and atomic red varieties have been bred to contain more heart-healthy lycopene than the simple orange variety.
I have a very specific memory of carrots when I was a kid because we would grow carrots in our garden. Mm-hmm. And carrots are one of those plants that you see like the fronds come up first.
Yeah.
And as a kid, you think, oh my gosh, the fronds are up. That must mean the carrot's ready. And I would pick it, and the carrot would be like the size of my pinky fingernail.
Aww.
And my dad would have to explain to me, like, no, you have to let it sit for a little while. It has to grow. And I just could not wrap my head around that. I know. So sad.
Well,
but lesson learned.
That's how you learn. Can I add one more thing about carrots?
Sure.
I think the original carrots were actually purple carrots, if I'm remembering correctly.
Really?
Yeah. And now you can find the different colored
Yes, you can buy
carrots,
like
yeah.
the mixed blend.
So if you haven't tried some of those different colored carrots, give them a go.
Definitely. Well, we started growing tomatoes and lettuce this summer. We did not purchase as many tomato plants as you did. We purchased 3 different kinds. So hopefully that's more than, I'm sure it'll be more than enough. But the lettuce we're growing is really, it's like embarrassingly easy to grow.
Okay.
Like I was shocked by how easy the lettuce is to grow.
Okay.
It's more a matter of picking it often enough so it doesn't get like funny and mushy underneath, which is kind of gross.
Yeah.
And, you know, that leads me to our last topic here.
Okay.
And that is that it is not too late to plant. Okay. So yes, we're deep into summer right now, but even here in Milwaukee, we're in zone 5. You can find whatever planting zone you're in online. There are still things that we can plant from seed and expect to see something we can harvest before our first frost, which here tends to come usually between the end of September, maybe early October. And incidentally, this is also where planting in pots, like we mentioned, can help because they can extend your growing season. If you're going to get a frost, you can easily pick them up, bring them in the house, put them in the garage, whatever, so they don't get nipped by Jack Frost.
Well, that's good to know for, you know, the garden newbies out there.
So try it.
Yes. Now, if any of our listeners are wanting to plant some of their own fresh vegetables right now, what are the ones that are going to give them the best chance of a harvest in the next few months?
Great question. And there's actually quite a few, so I'm going to have to kind of read these quickly for time here. So your list includes beans, beets, carrots, chard, garlic, lettuce, mustard, onions, English peas, sugar snap peas, potatoes, radishes, spinach, turnips, basil, cilantro, and parsley.
You're right. That is a lot. Now, what about any flowers? Are there any that are worth planting this late in the season? I know they tend to take a little longer to come to flower.
Right. Believe it or not, there actually are. Usually by this time in the summer, you can attest to this. Most people's flowers are starting to look a little sad and ravaged. And some of them just look like they're done. They're dead.
Yeah.
So it's a great time to kind of stick in a little color in places where things are looking rough. You can either go to your local garden store and spend a few bucks on some annuals, like the little plantlings that are already started, or you can plant some from seed. So if you're going to be bold and brave and plant some from seed, the ones that are going to give you the best chance of getting some flowers still this summer, marigolds, black-eyed Susans, which you see a lot on the side of the road, asters, lantana, blanket flower, verbena, zinnia, hibiscus, which is actually a tropical flower.
Yeah.
So you probably are going to have to bring that one in at the end of the summer. Globe amaranth, and then purple coneflower, which is really popular around here.
Oh, yeah. I've planted the coneflower before. They're very hardy.
Yes. I have several of these in my garden, and I have to say, as far as bang for your color buck, zinnias and verbena give you lots of flowers and lots of color. Specifically, zinnias, you can get them in multitudes of colors, and they're just so pretty. And as long as you cut those flowers periodically, make a little bouquet for yourself, bring them in the house, or if you leave them, make sure you deadhead them every once in a while, which just means cutting off the dead flowers. They're just going to keep coming, and they're going to give you flowers well into the fall.
Nice.
And if you love your pollinators, which you should, we all need to help encourage our pollinators to keep going. Butterflies and bees, just love them. So you want to see that in your garden. Those are good ones to plant.
We definitely want to support the bees. They actually pollinate a lot of our fruits and vegetables that we eat.
Yes.
So if you like almonds, especially, make sure we, encourage bees.
We could do a whole other podcast on almonds.
Yeah, that's right. All right. All of this talk of gardening has me itching to get my hands in some soil now.
Me too.
Well, thanks for listening today, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast, whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. You don't want to miss a minute of our heart-healthy content. While you're on YouTube, check out my summer produce series for some delicious recipe ideas. We appreciate all of our listeners, so tell a friend about our show.
Yes.
And as we always say, be the ruler of your own heart. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us on the Queen of Hearts podcast. Our podcast is recorded here at the Karen Yance Women's Cardiac Awareness Center inside Aurora St. Luke's Medical Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. For more heart-healthy tips, info, recipes, and more, visit our website at www.karenyancecenter.org. Like us on Facebook at Karen Yance Center, and follow us on Pinterest. If you like what you hear, subscribe to our show and be sure to tell your friends. Until next time, ladies, be ruler of your own heart.